Deftones, Minerva, standard tuning method. I got the tabs, the lesson, play all the parts right at the beginning. After that, I'll go back through, give the full explanation for it. Before we jump in, please hit that subscribe button. It's the best way of letting me know that you like this video and want to see more like it. And now, let's go for it. Okay, so we'll start with this intro / interlude section that happens a little later on. And it's kind of just picking parts of a similar chord here, just real subtle and light. We start way up here at the 11 on the D, the 13 on the G, and we just kind of focus on that initially. So we're just doing like a really high voice, like D flat 5 thing there. And it's just kind of like a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right. And it bumps off of that pretty quick, and it basically just drops down to what would be more like a D7, a D flat 7 now. Just kind of focusing more on that same 13 on the G, but now adding the 12 on the B. And we just hit that B and G right there, the 13 and 12. And with that one, we do the same kind of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, kind of accenting every third, you know. And just kind of carry that out for maybe like 14 strums or so. Right. And you know, it's just kind of bouncing between those two little shapes right there. All right, kind of builds up a little bit at the end there. And for this main riff, you know, verse progression riff here, you just kind of want like a really big sounding kind of droney bass vibes, you know. And with this, I think we can make it work pretty well in just standard tuning here. Basically, we just want this, you know, and this D flat kind of power chord thing going on. And just to make it sound even bigger, I like to throw the extra octave, low octave, you know, the A flat bass note on top of it. So basically we'd be doing like the D flat here at the 4 of the A, and then, you know, add the 6 there. And we'll continue on with that, but just focusing on this lower half, you know, adding that 4 on the E with it, so that instead of just getting like we get the, just makes it sound a little bigger, you know, just to compensate for not having that you know, dropped D flat thing going on here. I think it works well that way. And initially, we're just kind of going to go between these 3 different little chord shapes, starting with what's like a D flat sus 4 with that added A flat bass note there. So basically, all we're talking about is like, you know, we have our 4s on the E and A, we have that 6 on the middle D, and you can just kind of bar the D, B, G at the 6s like that. Just because we're going to need those a little bit later here, but we want to add this 7 on the B and really kind of make sure that comes out clear in the chord. All right, and with this, we're just going to kind of strum through it a handful of times, maybe 4 or 5 times. Okay, you want that big kind of droning chord vibe. You throw some reverb on there, helps a lot too. Makes it sound pretty cool. All right, and from there, we're just gonna, come off of that 7 and essentially just kind of switch to, we'll be keeping our same 4 on the E, 4A, 6 on the D. Keep that 6 on the G as well, kind of make this shape with it. And our next note we really want to focus on is having this 4 on the high E barred. All right, and this B string, if you have the 4 just kind of ringing, it sounds okay, but it's not the best because it can kind of, drown out the high note that we want here. So I just kind of like to act like I'm going to do a little minor or something like that, but just have my finger like deadening that B string. So either way you can do that, but like I said, we just really want to make sure we have this high E4 ringing out. And we strum through that, about 8 times or so. And then the final chord that we hit, it's basically just kind of making, 6s on the D, G, B, and we really want to have that 6 on the B ringing out, keeping our 4E, 4A. Because throughout this whole thing, we really want to emphasize the. Okay, we really want that like ringing out throughout all the chords. And so we're just kind of moving around a little bit down here, but keeping all the same kind of bass note stuff going. And we kind of carry that last chord a little, like twice as long as the other ones. For the chorus, we just switched down to a G flat, F sharp power chord here at 2E, 4 on the A and D. And you just kind of strum it a handful of times. Okay, come on up to this big voiced E flat power chord. The 6A with the 8 on the D, G. And I like to make it more of a sus vibe. So just kind of having the 6 on the B, 6E, with that 8 D and G, 6A, and then of course throwing the extra, barred 6 on the E, that B flat, just to give it a bigger feel. And then we just move back to our, D flat sus with the extra A flat up top. So just barring the 4s and then 6 on the D and G. And that one we can carry, a couple measures. And just to add a little extra thing, once we get to the second and third verses, we get a second guitar. It could be, just like a sampled thing that they're putting in there too. But it's just doing this kind of back and forth little thing. And it's just basically, 4 on the high E with the 6 on the B, and just going between those.